What if I told you that a 300-pound pest control worker transformed himself into one of the most mentally indestructible humans on Earth? That he ran 205 miles in 39 hours? That he broke the world record for pull-ups by doing 4,030 in 17 hours? And that he did all of this with a condition doctors said would end his career before it started.
I'm David Goggins, San Diego, California. Well, I'm a Navy SEAL from San Diego. I've been in the SEAL teams for about 9 years now. I run ultra marathons and I'm an ultra cyclist also. Well, since I have a full-time job, I get up about 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, and I work out until about 8. And that's right to be at work. And I go to work from about 8 until about 6 o'clock, and then I bike back home. So I'm on the bike anywhere from 4 to 8 hours a day. And if I'm running anywhere between 100 to 150 miles a week. So that's basically what I do. I also hit the weights about 3 or 4 times a week because it's important to also weight train also. But I didn't start doing this until about November of 2005. I used to weigh 290 pounds.
David Goggins didn't just change his body, he rewired his entire operating system. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how he did it, and more importantly, how you can apply his methods to obliterate your own limitations. But first, let me show you what separates Goggins from everyone else who talks about toughness.
A recent CBS News poll finds 40% of Americans plan to make New Year's resolutions. Retired Navy SEAL David Goggins says he knows how to make those changes stick.
Here's what nobody tells you about David Goggins. He wasn't born tough. At 24, he was overweight, depressed, and spraying for cockroaches. The Navy SEALs rejected him twice. So how does a man go from rock bottom to becoming what the military calls the toughest man alive? It starts with a decision that most people will never make. Goggins looked at his reflection and made a pact with himself. I'm going to become the thing I'm most afraid of.
To overcome all this, my bright idea was to try to become the one thing I was afraid of.
Not just physically, but mentally. He would forge his mind into a weapon that could override any signal his body sent. The first step? He stopped negotiating with himself. No more, I'll start Monday. No more, just this once. Every decision became binary. Does this make me harder or softer? But here's where it gets interesting. Goggins discovered that the human mind has a built-in lie detector that keeps us weak, and he found a way to hack it. I'll show you exactly how in just a moment. But first, let's talk about the fuel that powers this machine. Most people eat for pleasure. Goggins eats for war.
My diet, what I eat, it always varies, but the biggest thing about diet for me is timing.
Every meal is strategic. Every calorie has a mission. Here's his exact nutrition protocol. Morning ammunition. Steel-cut oats with protein powder. No sugar, no fruit, no shortcuts. Why? Because when you're running 20 miles at 4 a.m., you need fuel that burns slow and steady, not a sugar crash at mile 12. Midday reinforcement, grilled chicken breast, and steamed vegetables. Seasoned with discipline, not sauce. This isn't about taste. It's about giving your muscles the raw materials they need to rebuild after you've torn them down. Evening recovery. Wild-caught salmon with leafy greens. The omega-3s fight inflammation while you sleep, preparing your body for tomorrow's assault. But here's what he absolutely refuses to touch. Anything that creates inflammation. No sugar, it's poison to performance. No fried foods, they clog the engine. No processed carbs, they spike insulin and crash focus. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds extreme. And you're right. But here's what Goggins knows that most people don't. Your body is either getting stronger or weaker with every choice. There's no maintenance mode. And speaking of extreme, wait until you see what he does to his body 7 days a week. This isn't a workout routine. It's a systematic destruction and rebuilding of the human body. Here's what Goggins does every single week. Monday, upper body warfare, 200 pull-ups, 300 push-ups, 90 minutes of grip torture. Not to build muscle, but to build the ability to keep going when every fiber screams stop. Tuesday, mental endurance. 15-mile run with no music, no podcasts, no distractions. Just him, the pavement, and the voice in his head trying to make him quit. Wednesday, bodyweight brutality, burpee pyramids, air squats, mountain climbers until his lungs feel like they're on fire. Then he does more. Thursday, power and pain. Hill sprints so intense they make Navy SEALs vomit. This is where he teaches his body that impossible is just another word for next level. Friday, strength under pressure. Deadlifts, farmer carries, weighted lunges, building the ability to perform under load when everything hurts. Saturday, endurance torture. 3-hour bike rides or 20-mile runs. Not for fitness, but for the mental breakthrough that happens when you keep going after you want to stop. Sunday, rest day, 4-mile ruck with a 50-pound vest, 100 push-ups every mile, because stillness is death. But here's the thing, you could copy every single workout, eat exactly what he eats, and still fail completely. Because the real secret isn't in his muscles, it's in his mind. And what I'm about to show you next is the mental framework that makes everything else possible. This is where Goggins becomes truly dangerous. His body is strong, but his mind is a fortress. Here are the 5 mental rules that make him unbreakable. Rule 1, daily voluntary suffering. Every day, he chooses to do something that sucks. Cold showers, extra miles, brutal workouts. Why? Because if you don't choose your pain, life will choose it for you. Rule 2, the accountability mirror. He writes his weaknesses on sticky notes and puts them on his mirror. No lies, no excuses, just brutal honesty staring back at him every morning. Rule 3, callous the mind. Just like your hands get tough from friction, your mind gets tough from pain. Every uncomfortable situation makes you stronger for the next one. Rule 4, the 40% rule. When your brain says I'm done, you're only at 40% of your actual capacity. There's always more in the tank if you're willing to go get it. Rule 5, discipline over motivation. Motivation is an emotion. Discipline is a decision. Champions show up when they don't want to, when it's cold, when it's hard, when no one's watching. But there's one more rule, the most important one. The one that separates Goggins from everyone else who talks about being tough. And this might be the hardest truth you'll hear today. Rule 6, be uncommon among the uncommon. It's not enough to be better than average. Even among Navy SEALs, there are people who settle. Even among ultra runners, there are limits. Goggins doesn't chase normal or even excellence. He chases the impossible. Here's what that looks like in practice. When other SEALs were satisfied with completing Hell Week, Goggins did it 3 times. When other runners were happy finishing ultra marathons, he ran them on broken feet. When other people were content with being fit, he became a living example of what's possible when you refuse to accept limitations. The moment when everything hurts and he smiles, that's what separates him. Not talent, not genetics, not luck. Just the decision to never stop, to never back down, to be the kind of person who walks into suffering and stays there longer than anyone else. David Goggins isn't superhuman. He's just a man who decided to become everything he was afraid of, who chose to suffer so he could become unbreakable, who understood that the only real limits are the ones we accept. The question isn't whether you can do what Goggins does. The question is, what's possible if you stop negotiating with yourself? What could you become if you decided to be uncommon among the uncommon? Your accountability mirror is waiting. Your 40% rule is ready to be tested. Your daily suffering is calling your name. The only question left is, are you ready to answer? Hit that subscribe button if you're ready to stop settling for average. Because average is the enemy of greatness, and greatness is exactly what you're capable of.